Hello, I'm Johnny Rowland, your host of our shooting program, and welcome to today's show. It's raining here in Louisiana as we're doing our intro today. We certainly feel for those folks out west where it's so dry. We hope you get some rain soon. Anyway, we have some great features for you. We took a trip out this past week to Gunsite. We also went down by the Ruger plant in Prescott, Arizona, had a nice visit with Mike Dillon Precision in Scottsdale, Arizona. So we have some things from Gunsite we think you're really going to enjoy, and some other features. The judge has some great information for us today. So let's get another shooting show underway. Let's take one more look at that Gunsite 45 shooting that water bottle out to 100 yards with some carbine ammunition. Let's take one more look at that and let another shooting show begin. Friends, here I am standing at the entrance to the Gunsite Training Academy, and let's go inside and see some of the things that they do there. We're going to attend a couple of classes and show you some of their features in their custom gun shop and their pro shop. So let's do that now. Well, friends, we're here at a very nice time of day here on the South Range at Gunsite here near Paulden, Arizona. And we have a class in progress, and this is a pistol class, and I think we're going to see some really entertaining things and interesting things about how the chief instructor, Jack Furr, is talking with the class right now, and I think you're going to enjoy this.
1, 2. Process as well. Firing grip, left hand position, step over and out with the left foot. The one only. Ready? 1. And recover.
This is a facility where you can get out of the heat and the sun and get ready for demonstration.
No guns out. Shoot!
Ready.
Make ready. The drill will be a single shot. Single shot. Cabeza. One single shot. Do not make up any shots. This will be a single shot to the head. Hit or miss, this is all you're going to get. Single headshot, so make it perfect. Shooters ready. Stand by. Fire! Holster when you're finished. Single headshot. Uno, cabeza. Single headshot. Hit or miss, it's got to be right. Ready? Shoot! Cover and holster. Remember, it's up to you to stay ahead of your gun. Keep it operational. Holster when you're finished. Okay. Relay 1, move back to 7 yards.
Showing me up.
2 shots, center mass of your target. 2 shots, center mass of your target. Draw quickly, shoot carefully. Don't waste time now. Don't just kind of ease the gun out. Get it out with a little bit of muscle. Get it out on target and shoot carefully. 2 shots, center mass. Keka. Dos mas. Shooters ready. Stand by. Fire! Keep your head up and your eyes down range while you're doing your tack load. The danger is down there. It's not in the magazine well of the gun, and it certainly isn't in your holster. 2 shots, your choice of kneeling. Get down quickly, shoot carefully. Ready? Shoot! Check left and right in kneeling. Stand, check left and right again. Remember, if you're going to do a tack load or manipulate the weapon, you probably want to do it while you're kneeling. 2 hits on paper. All right? Let's get that muzzle out early. Let's get it out early. Fingers straight. Remember, if your cap's going to bother you, probably want to take it off and turn it around. Make sure you folks that are wearing glasses, especially prescription glasses, that you're looking through the center of the lens. You're looking through the center of the lens. Don't look at the upper right corner. Change your point of aim, point of impact. Get into position smoothly. Get as quickly as you can. Lock in there. Remember, we want to get the heel of the hand, the heel of the non-shooting hand down on the deck. If you're holding your hands up off the ground or off the carpet, you're not going to be as accurate. 2 shots center mass from rollover prone. Ready? Shoot! You'd be a lot more comfortable if you had more angle. Recover on your own. Finger straight, keep that muzzle down range. Get that left leg under you, push yourself up.
My friends, one of the most important things, of course, many of these people are already shooters, but some of them don't have that much experience. And the thing is, no one is embarrassed. No one chastises anyone for not knowing something. They simply teach you and show you the proper way to do it. And this is how a shooting school should be run, where people feel welcome and you have an opportunity to learn without being intimidated.
Hit on left, hit right, hit left, hit right, hit left. Remember, you must get a hit. I will go down the line and I'll work with you. You'll know what to do.
The blue, the steel blue plates, that's what we're shooting at.
No.
Shot,
That's up to them.
one shot,
Make ready.
or you get one hit. But, or one hit.
Once you've made ready, drop into position.
Jack,
Yep.
I don't think Kate understands.
I will come down and help you. A little high center. Hold center of the plate and press smoothly. Center of the plate, look at the front sight, don't look at the target. Good hit, John. If you look at the target, your shot will go high. Good hit. Ken. Good hit. Greg. Larry. Good hit. Glenn. Careful, try another one, hold center. You're a little left at about 9 or 9:30. There you go. Rick, hold steady. You're a little high. Look at the front sight. Don't look at the target, Rick. Good hit. Red, a little high. Look at the front sight. Forget the target. It stays there. It won't move. Good hit. Okay, Ray, hold it steady. Easy does it. A little high. Look at the front sight. Easy does it.
Bottom of the plate.
Easy. Good hit. Okay, George, hold steady. Go ahead and thumb cock it. All right, now it's on single action. Get that hit. Look at the front sight, George. Look at the front sight. Shooting high. Hold center of the plate. Hold center of the plate. Take the slack out of the press. That's the way to do it. Thank you very much. All right, Dave. You hold it steady, buddy. Watch the trigger press, Dave. That's what it is. That's why your shots are going low.
Do their job on it.
Hold steady. Smoothly.
Oh, they shoot.
A little low again.
I might have to break down. This
Try
one
once
here is
more.
oldie. It's
Take the slack out
They
and
guarantee
slowly
it for the
add
life.
that
They get
pressure.
it for life.
Slowly. Good hit. Way to do it. Good hit. Glenn. Good hit. Rick. You're a little high right at 2 o'clock. There you go. Fred. Good hit. All right, Ray. Buddy. Good. George. Easy does it. Good hit. All right, Dave. Watch the trigger press. A little low. Watch the trigger. All right, hold on a second. All right, I want you to provide sideline. Slack out and stop. Now, you just provide sideline. Just let me press your finger. Just focus on the front side. Focus on the front side. Focus on the front side. See what I mean? How smooth and steady it is? All right. Hey, $50, I'll stay with you here all day and I'll get the hits for you. Okay, check? All right, Patrick. Easy does it, buddy. Good hit. Okay, Keika, let's really concentrate. I know that trigger's a little hard for you, but do the best you can. I can see you're really working hard on that trigger press. A little high left, about 11:30. Easy does it. Focus on the front sight. Still a little hot.
Difficult.
Where are you holding on the plate? Are you holding center? Center of the blue plate? Okay, try one more. Don't worry about it. No big deal. You're right close to it. You're only missing maybe this much. Easy does it.
They got pretty decent sights on it.
There you go.
Okay.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Okay.
Toward the end. Very good. To the head. Ready? Fire!
This. You cannot afford the reflexor tendency. This you can shoot.
Nobody else going through it?
Shoot.
Swing a little wide.
Yeah.
First time I fire too soon and hit the wood, and the second time it hits the
Ready? Shoot.
This is the easier. Everyone's here to call.
Power up, stick with this one. Ready? Shoot.
Strong.
Yours are looking good too.
Well, friends, we're down, of course, on the South Range here at Gunsite. I'm talking with a gentleman here named Roy Bongfalk. Did I say that right, sir?
Absolutely.
And Roy has been shooting for several years now, and in fact, what we found most interesting, he was in California back in some of the earliest days, shall we call this pre-IPSC.
Absolutely. Yes, pre-IPSC.
Who were some of the folks that, now this was Big Bear Valley, about
Bear
what?
Valley. This would be Eldon Carl, Thel Reed, John Plain, Weaver, of course, of the Weaver stance, Jeff Cooper, and a lot of the other folks that used to get together and shoot.
Now, friend, we're talking legendary shooters here, and how did it begin? Was it fast draw originally?
It started off as fast draw. That was just a little bit before my time. They did about 4 years before I got started at it, and they were pretty much through the fast draw stuff, and had gone into the competition and had picked several standard matches that they were shooting. The Mexican defense, they called it, which is the Defense Course of Mexico, and advanced military and stuff like that. So they put together combat courses from around the world, and then we would all get together once a month and compete and to see who would do the best at that. So it was pretty much competitive stuff at that time.
Well, I'm sure, of course, knowing some of these people that you're talking about, yes, the competition I'm sure was extreme.
Absolutely. Very fierce.
What kind of, in the beginning, what did they bring to shoot? What kind of guns did they bring to shoot?
A lot of revolvers, 9 millimeters, and of course Cooper and was pushing the 45 at that time. So slowly but surely it switched over to the 45 auto, and that was the dominant gun. That was the winning gun. So the Browning high powers and stuff, revolvers and stuff kind of went to the side.
So, of course, as we know today, the 1911 is the dominant gun in IPSC shooting even today, and there's been a whole lot of new stuff that's come along, but the 1911 is still it. Well, Roy, I tell you what, we appreciate you visiting with us. We're having a very nice time today. We've met some very nice people out here. And, you know, as we've often said, aren't shooters the most polite, the nicest people to be around?
Absolutely, without a doubt.
Well, sir, good to meet you and good luck to you.
Well, thank you very much.
Shootin' Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or TV station. You should be subscribing to Shotgun News, the trading post for anything that shoots. 3 big issues monthly with literally thousands and thousands of firearms bargains. Give them a call, 1-800-345-6923, a very inexpensive subscription price. Again, 1-800-345-6923. Subscribe today.
Now, friends, here's what it's all about, is shooting and having fun on the range. Friends, the great shot stop target system give them a call on their 800 line. Tell them you saw it on the shooting show. Here's how to get that information. For information on the shot stop target systems, give them a call and tell them you saw it on the shooting show. 1-800-444-2038. Again, 1-800-444-2038 for information on the shot stop target systems. And now let's step inside the classroom and listen to Chief Instructor Jack Furr lecture on some of the finer points of night shooting.
As we said, you have that sixth sense, that innate thing that you really can't put your finger on, and no one can really quantify or identify particularly, but it's just something in your psyche that says something's wrong. Something is unusual, something is not just right here. Continually listening to that inner voice in there that tells you something's wrong, and start checking things very systematically, check things very carefully. Be careful. As we said, we're not throwing them into an indoor or an outdoor simulator with 10 or 12 bad guys. If we did that, it would be sheer suicide. You'd be crazy to go do something like that. You can't do it one-on-one. You shouldn't do it one-on-one. So be very careful. When you go to a certain area, you handle a certain tactical problem, or you handle certain tactical problems, then once you finish that, once you've satisfied your mind, you've taken care of whatever business may be there, then you stop and say, that scenario is over, and we'll move to another. That's exactly what you're doing. You're taking scenarios, one scenario, two scenarios at a time. Be slow, be systematic, be methodical. Get the hits. That's the only thing that counts. Bottom line is being able to hit your target, neutralize the target if you need to use deadly force. Use lights, techniques, and the most popular. Any light technique that's in use today puts the light and gun together. Any light technique that's used today puts the light and gun together. We no longer use the old FBI technique where you take your light and your pistol and you hold the light up here and you shoot from down here. We don't use that any longer. Why? Well, it worked very well probably back in the late 40s and 50s, but it doesn't work all that well now. Number one is you don't have good control of the pistol. We don't teach point shooting or hip shooting anymore. Why? Because people do not hit well from point shooting techniques. Out of 100 rounds fired today by the police as a group, and I know we have a lot of officers in here, and we're not pointing you out individually, but overall throughout the United States, for every 100 rounds fired by police today, this is the hit ratio. 14%. Means 86% of the time we don't hit our target. There are folks now in training organizations throughout the country that are teaching point shooting methods. And point shooting certainly has some qualities that are desirable. Number one is it's quick. Many times a lot of instructors or people that teach these methods will tell you that this is instinctive shooting. And what I will say to you is, when you were born, could you instinctively tie your shoes? Anybody here, could you do that? That was a learned response. You had to learn how to do it. And that's basically how you do everything. You learn how to do it. There were a couple things that you could do when you were born that you didn't need to be taught or you didn't need to learn. But those were physiological and physical things that we did. We eat, we do other things. You don't need to learn that. But all of the other skills that you develop pretty much throughout your life, you have to be taught, you have to train, and you have to do these things. That's the way you accomplish and you progress. So, the techniques that we teach and we show you are four. The IU, the Chapman, the Harries, and the laser. I need to borrow somebody's large practice with me. This is a large, well-used string light. The Ayub technique, pretty much developed by Mossad Ayub of Lethal Force Institute. This puts the light and gun together. It has some good points. It has some points that are not necessarily highly desirable. Number one, it does put the light and gun together, but it's predominantly better or more useful when used if you shoot from an isosceles stance. And that's straight onto the target, so that you can hold the light in an overhand grip like so. You can use the thumb to activate the light switch. And you're basically putting both thumbs together, fingers together, thumbs together, and aligning the flashlight with the barrel of the weapon and thrusting it out in front of you and shooting here. The problem we see when people use this, especially if you're shooting a weapon that has a moderate amount of recoil, is when you shoot, the light does this, and the gun does that. It separates. For the first shot, it's relatively quick to assume. It's fairly comfortable for most people, especially if you shoot from an isosceles stance. But when you fire that first shot or successive shots, you have less than desirable recoil control. Developed by a gentleman by the name of Michael Harris, who used to be a staff instructor here. Michael spent a lot of years doing research and development and shooting with the Southwest Pistol League in California, and he was looking for a better light technique than the Ayub or the Chapman or any other light technique at the time that he began his research to help him get better hits when they were doing night shooting problems with the Southwest Pistol League. So what Michael did was come up with a system of holding the light in the gun that is very similar to the Weaver stance that we teach today. And it does help you gain a lot of control, and it does assist you in shooting accurate, precise shots if you need them. The downside is if you don't practice the Harry's technique, it is not very comfortable, especially in the beginning stages, because where you're going to feel the most tension in your body is going to be between shoulder blade and shoulder blade. Also, if your upper body strength is not really all that developed, you're going to notice some discomfort in the arms, especially in the bicep and tricep area. But how do we assume the Harry's technique? We grasp this flashlight with an overhand technique. We're going to use the ring finger or middle finger of a non-firing hand, and we're going to use that to activate the light switch. You're going to hold the light switch button at about 1 or 2 o'clock position. Everybody with me so far? 1 or 2 o'clock position. Overhand grip, use the middle finger or ring finger, whichever is most comfortable for you. You're going to draw the pistol to a one-hand guard position first, and you're going to bring the light underneath the gun hand. Light underneath the gun hand, get the backs of the wrists together. Backs of the wrists together. In this flashlight guard technique, as we mount the gun to our eye level, we don't want to turn the light on here because basically we're making a runway light out of ourselves. We're allowing any individual that happens to be in front of us, beside us, or what have you, that we're backlighted very much. And we don't want to do that. So what we want to pay specific attention to is when we think we have a problem area that we need to light up and scan, we want to wait until we bring the gun up to our eye level, then turn the light on, scan, shoot if necessary, get the light out, and then we don't want to be in the same place. We want to move in some direction, either right, left, to the rear, forward, or find cover. Okay? Can everybody see this? You will also notice this. It's a lot more comfortable for the average person who assumes the Harry's technique that once they mount the gun, watch my left elbow. Take the elbow and chicken wing it out or flatten it out in this particular fashion. What happens here when you do that, you lose the isometric tension. You lose the ability to shoot quickly, you lose the ability to shoot accurately, because in this position, the light and gun have a tendency to separate. So you've got to crank this elbow down and under. Is this very comfortable? It is for me, but I do it all the time. With or without a gun, I practice it, even at home. Sometimes I'll just be out walking the dog and I'll do this just for fun. But you have to practice. And when you mount, turn the light on, keep your elbow down, shoot if you need to, get the light out, and move. Do not shoot from the same place twice, because whoever's on the other side of you is going to see those muzzle flashes, see the light come on. Maybe he's back behind cover at that particular time. He hasn't exposed himself, but he'll remember where you were. Or if you shoot, and as we've seen, what do we do often? 14%. When we do shoot at people, what often happens? Yeah, we miss though. We miss the target. So if you mount the light, turn it on, and you shoot, and you miss, which it can happen to any of us, if you miss and you stay in the same spot, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure, I'll shoot the same direction from whence I saw the light, maybe I'll get some hits. And that's very good reason to move after you've shot, if you can. If you have an area where you can move to, if you have the ability to move, you have space, you should think about doing that.
And now, friends, here we are out on the South Shooting Range at the Gunsite Training Center, and we're going to observe a little night shooting, some night classroom out here.
Backlighting technique, ready? 2 rounds, fire! Here we go. Ready? Light up! Stand by. Light up! Light up!
So, Johnny, how was your trip to Gunsite?
Kat, it was great. It really was, because they have such a tremendous facility, and a lot of people would think, well, it's a shooting school, but it's much more than that. It's an attitude school, you know. And unfortunately, in our society today, more and more people are being subjected to violent attacks, being subjected to a criminal approaching them or trying to rob them or hurt them or worse, whichever. And that's one thing that's really hard to communicate without you actually having going, because they give you an attitude of, you know, I can protect myself, I can protect my family, you know. And in fact, let's look at their catalog here from Gunsite, and the word here is the world leader in firearms instruction. And I'll tell you what, after being there, of course, we spent a good bit of time out there over the past several years, and I would really agree. Rich G, who's president, is a real authority on shooting and on the techniques that would be so important, not only to police officers, but to all of us.
Well, not to cut you off or anything, how many women students were there?
Well, several. We saw a good many women, and women are certainly welcome. You know, in our society, who is more likely to have a problem anyway as a civilian? Well, a woman is. A woman or an older person, certainly, or they're much more likely to be attacked, say, than somebody like myself, who's a little larger than the average person. So really, it's a great idea for women to go, and I was so impressed. We followed Jack Furr around, the chief instructor for, you'll see him during the program in classroom instruction. He was conducting the night shooting and also on the range. And they took special pains. When someone didn't understand something, they stopped and said, okay, here's how you do it. And they didn't make the people feel inadequate. They didn't put them down. They didn't yell and fuss. They said, okay, here's what we need to do. And they got the problem done. I tell you, it was just excellent. The pro shop, which I think we'll see some pictures of here, is a tremendously equipped, complete shooting store. In fact, they have all sorts of things from shooting clothing to ammunition to shooting glasses, just a whole stock of things that will be important to us as shooters. Leather, holsters, even have ghillie suits on sales. If anybody wants to be a sniper, they have ghillie suits. And of course, we saw a good number of police personnel that were there, some military people there getting courses up from what they normally would get in the military training programs. Also, the custom shop is just excellent. From working we saw a Marlin 4570 lever action rifle cut down to a carbine, which would be a great carryable bear rifle, something like that. All sorts of custom work on handguns, like on our Colt 45 here, but they also work on all kinds of other handguns. They can take a run-of-the-mill rifle and turn it into a real shooting machine with extreme accuracy. So I'll tell you what, friends, really you need to give them a call and get them to send you one of their Gunsite Training Center guides here, catalogs, and that number. They're in Paulden, Arizona. Let me give it to you now. Area 520. You know, Arizona has a new area code out there. Parts of it does. Area 520-636-4565. Again, that's 520-636-4565. And get them to send you one of their catalogs, one of their brochures here because, friends, another thing I want to mention, when you go out to Gunsite, one, it's a vacation if you live almost anywhere else. Here we are in the land of greenery and water here in Louisiana, and it's really an exciting trip to go out there. The weather is terrific. It's gorgeous. It's not too hot, not too cold. They have local motels that work with the school, giving discounts to students. You can fly in; they can get you there. There's some special arrangements through some of the travel associations there, so it will really be easy to get there. You'll have a great time while you're there. Their certificates of instruction are accepted all over the country, with accepting their training for concealed carry permits, which more and more states are getting now. So I tell you what, friends, they're good people. We cannot recommend them too highly. This is something, if you want to know how to shoot a handgun or a rifle or shotgun or some other things, they have alternative methods to defense. They teach use of edged weapons or, in fact, having nothing and defending yourself. All these things are taught there at the Gunsite Academy. They're very fine people to work with. You will learn something if you care about protecting yourself and your family. It'll be a great trip, but it could mean literally changing your life from you being someone who might be afraid to giving you a lot more personal security, giving your family a lot more personal security. So give them a call today. Gunsite Training Center in Paulden, Arizona.
The Shootin' Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or TV station.
You know, Carrie, I think it's as important for you ladies to know how to use these firearms as it is for us men. But you know, there's something else. We can have firearms for defense of our homes and certainly for sport, but we also need information.
Yes, I agree. I think the New American Magazine is the best source of information available in this country.
Well, I would certainly agree. The New American Magazine is the truth and nothing but the truth. And friends, if you would like to know what is really going on in this country and around the world, if you want, in fact, the truth, well, you need to get the New American Magazine. So here's how to do it. You can get the New American by calling 1-800-727-TRUE-TRUE. And those numbers, of course, are 1-800-727-8783. The New American, $22 for a 6-month subscription. It comes twice a month. Now, friends, with your new Shootin' Show subscription, they will also send you a free copy of what the United Nations is bringing to all of us. So this is very important. Subscribe today. You know, friends, in times like these, which indeed are strange times, we certainly need our firearms, but we also need the information about what's really going on. Order today. Now, friends, Catherine is holding a copy of the New American Magazine. This is Oklahoma City, the case for a cover-up. And a lot of us believe that the government didn't tell us the whole truth in that particular deal. This is a terrific issue, and with your new Shooting Show subscription to the New American Magazine, they'll send you one of these special reprints here of the New American, Oklahoma City, the case of a cover-up. And this is a great, tell you what, don't you agree, the New American Magazine is the best news magazine available in this country today, in the whole United States. And they do special pieces like this. I'll tell you what, friends, it'll raise your eyebrows. And these are things we all need to know. So with your subscription to the New American Magazine here that you see on the Shooting Show, they will also send you this New American copy. Incidentally, the New American is going on newsstands shortly. So if you're down at your newsstand, you don't have a subscription, if you'd like to look at the magazine or ask your newsstand operator to order the New American, because this is something that we need to get out there among the public so they can see just what the truth is and what's going on. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we hope you're enjoying our program. We had a great trip this past week. we try to get my esteemed colleague here to go with us out to Prescott, Paulden, Arizona, at Gunsite, and go out to the Ruger plant and come back through Scottsdale and visit with Mike Dillon. Try to get you to do it, sir. Well, you missed a dry time, believe me.
I probably did miss a dry time. I tell you what else. I managed to get about 4 days of work in at the office that I couldn't have gotten otherwise.
True. That's true. I tell you, they're having some really strong heat out there. We were through there on Saturday, through Phoenix, Friday actually, and it was 100 degrees, right at 100. I think it was going to be 108 on Saturday or Sunday. So, friends, that's pretty severe temperatures. Of course, you know, you can say dry heat and all that, and that's true. It wasn't as bad as if it was 108 here with our humidity, but I tell you, it was still hot. Anyway, so I know you have some things for us that are important.
NRA facts. For a while, the anti-gunners were griping at the NRA, saying they ought to get back to teaching firearm safety and so forth, which, of course, they never got away from. But now, Senator Frank Lautenberg, Democrat of New Jersey, it's gotten to the point where I can't hardly trust anybody that's in political office up there. He thinks the distribution of surplus government firearms to groups like the Boy Scouts, Future Farmers of America, amounts to aiding and abetting the rising tide of gun violence.
That's crazy. That is crazy.
There is a new corporation, that's been created to replace the Director of Civilian Marksmanship. It's called the Corporation for the Promotion of Rifle Practice and Safety. There was an anti-gun amendment that was defeated in the U.S. House by a veto-proof majority. That was a housing bill offered by U.S. Senate candidate Representative Dick Durbin, D-U-R-B-I-N, Democrat of Illinois, that would have outlawed self-defense in public housing units. How about that? Can't defend yourself.
Can't defend in a public housing unit where that's one of the most likely places in the country you'll need to defend yourself, isn't it? In the public housing unit?
He's going to run for the Senate from Illinois, replacing what's his name?
Dick Lugar?
No.
What's Lugar?
He's from some other state. Replacing the kind of short, deep-voiced anti-gun candidate. I don't even want to remember his name.
Don't even remember his name.
He's anti-gun. He's going to face the NRA-endorsed candidate Al Salvi, S-A-L-V-I, Republican. That's interesting that NRA's already gotten around to endorsing people. I'd like to know who else they've endorsed. These faxes have a lot of information in them, more than I can give you in the time that we have available. I've gotten a lot of information from a lady in Washington State named Betty L. White. Ms. White, I hope you're watching this program. I understand that you were surprised when you first saw it. You said, "My God, you mean there's somebody that's on our side?" Well, we are on the same side, Betty White, and I really appreciate what you've sent to me. You know, it's hard for Americans to understand. It's almost impossible for them to understand that this American government, over a period of years, starting with Carter, has ceded control of many of the national parks and historical sites in the United States to the United Nations under the so-called biodiversity treaty or assessment, biodiversity assessment. Never has been approved as a treaty, even though the President has signed it. That includes Yosemite, Yellowstone, Grand Canyon, Mammoth Cave, Statue of Liberty, Independence Hall, Great Smoky Mountains, Hawaiian volcanoes. I'm telling you, this thing has gotten crazy. There are some people who want to mine for gold up in Wyoming, outside of Yellowstone Park. Doesn't affect Yellowstone at all. It took them 2 years to get all of the necessary approvals that they needed from various environmental legal United States environmental things, and when it looked like they were about to succeed, Gephardt, no, who's the Secretary of the Interior? Bruce Babbitt. Bruce Babbitt called in the UN, and the UN now thinks that are trying to assess whether this will adversely affect the ecology of the area.
What in the world, what does the UN have to do with anything that happens in this country?
Not a damn thing as far as I'm concerned. In fact, there's a move, and I want to say something congratulatory about a representative from Florida, 1st District in Florida, Scarborough I think his name is. I'll find it here somewhere. In any event, he has introduced a resolution in the House to get the United States out of the UN and get the UN out of the United States.
Yes, sir.
And that sounds to me like a darn good start.
Anytime that UN policy can start dictating something that affects us here in this country with our own property, with our own monuments, I tell you what, friends, something's got to be done.
Well, let's go further. They want now the power to tax. How you like that? The UN wants the power to tax. You know who they're going to tax? Guess.
Well, we assume it would start with us as Americans.
Well, that's since we've got the highest standard of living in the world, except for Switzerland, and maybe a Scandinavian country or two. They want a global tax on the military spending of all countries of 3% for 5 years. That means that tax dollars appropriated by the United States for our military, 3% of it would go to the UN. That would be used to create an independent army for the UN.
A permanent UN army, right?
Yeah.
A permanent, I mean, we're talking about
I don't know where they're going to get their people from, but anyhow, that would create. They want a global income tax of 0.01%. Doesn't sound like very much. Be careful, because the amendment that created the federal income tax said the people that were proposing it said, oh, it'll never amount to over 2 or 3%.
That's what they said. Now, what, 37%?
Something above that. In any event, they want a global income tax of 0.01% on nations with a per capita income of $10,000 or more. That means us.
Yeah.
That means us. That would produce an estimated $20 billion a year. But they've got some other ideas. They want taxes on ocean transport, on airline tickets, user fees for ocean fishing, pollution taxes, space-based parking fees for satellites, variety of other user fees. They don't only want... Here, they want all of outer space. But here is the
parking
kicker.
Fees for outer space. Parking fees.
But the worst is called the Tobin tax, named after an economist who dreamed it up, James Tobin. He has proposed a 0.05% tax on all foreign exchange transactions that take place among nations every day. That doesn't sound like very much.
What?
0.05% tax on all foreign exchange transactions every day. You know what that adds up to? $1.5 trillion a year.
Because that would get a tax on all the cars being sent abroad or imported. That would be a tax
all of the financial transactions.
Every financial transaction.
Now, if the UN couldn't be controlled, it doesn't have an elected body, we can't throw them out of office if we don't like what they do.
Who appoints? Who's in charge of the UN, Judge?
The Secretary General.
Well, how does he get there?
The United Nations Assembly elects him.
So us as people have no say-so whatsoever.
None at all. We only have one vote in all of the members of the United Nations. Russia at least has 5 votes. Those people had enough sense to try to protect themselves a little bit. But the UN is already has an anti-American bias.
And this is provable by record. You can just go look how they vote. Most of the time, the other countries vote against whatever proposal we make, right?
Well, this article that I have here says if UN gets power to tax, its leader, the Secretary General, would literally become a world dictator. Who could stop him? I don't know who could stop him. I don't know if anybody could or would. Scarborough, that's his name, the 1st District in Florida, Representative Scarborough. He's got a bill, H.R. 2535, to get the U.S. out of the UN. Everybody ought to write Representative Scarborough at the House Office building in Washington, D.C., and congratulate him for that. I'm just astounded, even more than gun control. I'm astounded at what's happening here. And of course, gun control is an integral part of it, because what they're trying to do is to make sure we can't resist.
That's it.
That we can't resist the UN. Now, you came back from this trip with some sort of a statement about German soldiers in New Mexico.
Right.
Somebody told me today that there were foreign soldiers here in Louisiana at Barksdale Air Force Base. I haven't seen any. I have access to that base. I'm going to go over there and kind of nose around and see. In any event, this is a petition that they want us to sign. And this is put out by the American Policy Center in Chantilly, Virginia. Anybody wants their address, I'll be glad to give it to them. I don't have a telephone number for them, but the head of it is apparently a Tom DeWeese, D-E-W-E-E-S-E, and he says, "Get us out of the United Nations." I can't think of a better project for anybody. And here I have a document, the Global Biodiversity Assessment, Section 10. Talks about all these places that have been placed under the United Nations control. They haven't done it just in the United States, they've done it everywhere. One place in Albania, 7 places in Algeria, 2 places in Argentina, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 in
Australia,
in Canada, some in Australia.
Bolivia, Brazil.
Almost every country. 4 places in Egypt, some in Ethiopia, a bunch of them in Greece. A lot of history in Greece. Guatemala, Germany. Got a bunch of places in Germany. I don't know what the Germans think about that. I wouldn't think they'd think very much of it.
Well, what we're doing, we're seeing this prediction of world government or world dictatorship coming to fruition in the United Nations.
It is coming into fruition, piecemeal perhaps, but nevertheless there. It's amazing. Now, in the United States of America, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 17 of our, no, 18.
Got Carlsbad Caverns, too, under the influence of the United Nations supervision.
Statue of Liberty.
What? Well,
Redwood National Park, Grand Canyon, Independence Hall. What does Independence Hall have to do with the United Nations? This got to be stopped. Now, people can't realize this, and I tell you how I know they can't realize it. I mentioned yesterday to a conservative friend of mine who is an honest-to-goodness, honest conservative. I know he's a conservative. I've known him for years. He's in the legislature, and I told him about Yellowstone. He said, "I don't believe that." I said, "Will you believe it if I furnish you with documentary proof of it?" He said, "Certainly." So I've got a ton of it, thanks to Betty White. I thank you, Betty. If I might be familiar enough to call you by your first name. But we need to do something. You need to bombard your representatives, your senators, your everybody.
Because that's the only chance we have. The White House is out of it. I mean, they're assisting the United Nations at every turn. The Clintonian regime is absolutely assisting the takeover of the United States by the United Nations. So the only chances we've really got here is our U.S. representatives and our U.S. senators. I mean, that's the only shot we've got.
This global biodiversity assessment. Listen to this. For example, talking about golf courses.
The Shootin' Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or TV station. You know, friends, it's rare in any field of manufacture that one particular company has a clear-cut advantage over the others. Well, in this case, it's Corbin Ammunition, Corbin Bullet Company, because they make the best handgun, long gun, and even some specialty caliber ammunition that's been real hard to get in the past. If you really want your handgun or rifle to perform at their absolute best, you need to find some Corbin ammunition. For information on where you can get Corbin, information on their product line, call them. Corbin Bullet Company, 1-800-626-7266. Again, give them a call. It's a free call, 1-800-626-7266. Trust me on this one. Corbin is the best there is.
I was talking about golf courses. They want us to use areas that are already disturbed or have fallen into disuse, like abandoned mines. Can you imagine playing golf in an abandoned mine?
Well, this is so stupid, it's ludicrous. I mean, it is so ignorant. These people are serious. I mean, they're going to do it. If you want to, what in the world? And what about the native trees? Now, you can't clear away anything that wasn't native.
That's right. It's all got to be native.
Shrubs.
That means I can't plant redwood trees in Louisiana, I guess. Not native to Louisiana.
Didn't just happen that way. Isn't that amazing? You know,
this is what they say, though. Agriculture occupies more than 1/3 of the world's land area, quote, and is the leading cause of habitat destruction on a global basis. So how are they going to feed all the people?
well, you know, well, they don't want to. They want to eradicate 6/7 of the world's population, right?
That's correct.
That's what they want to do. These nuts want to clear out. We were talking a moment ago in the studio here, friends. If you don't think there's land out there, well, there's no more land available. Let me tell you what, friends. There's land out there. Trust me. Here in the United States, we talk about we're growing to a point we can't support our population. Trust me, friends. Drive across West Texas. I mean, just going out there. You know, there are areas here. We have a tremendous amount of room to expand upon here in the United States. People used to go nuts out in the western United States because they never saw another human. And believe me, you'll drive a long way out there sometimes now without seeing anybody else.
Well, you know, Daniel Boone moved from Kentucky because the nearest neighbor was 15 miles away, and that was getting too crowded. Really, all joking aside, this business of getting the U.S. out of the UN is really something that's important. I just have way too much material here for what we're talking about. Now, I've got some more. I'm loaded today.
And you got to be in court in a few minutes.
I do. Oh, here it is. My daughter sends me clippings from the Boise newspaper. Helen Chenoweth, who incidentally understands this business about the UN and who understands this stuff about biodiversity and has tried to do something about it. And so she's got an opponent in the Republican Party, a physician with no prior political experience. He probably doesn't know what he's talking about. And Dan Williams, who's a Democrat, and he's been legal counsel for the Democratic Party for the past 5 years, and that alone ought to disqualify him.
Ought to scare the living daylights out of people.
Then there's another Democrat, somebody named Matt Lambert. I'm telling you, Helen Chenoweth is it. She is as near a perfect representative as there is in these United States. I'll add some others to that. Stockman from South Texas is another one that's fantastic, and I've got a fax here from Gun Owners of America that says they applaud Representative Stockman for his strong pro-gun record and gives us an update on other legislative odds and ends. You need to get on both these fax systems. The word needs to get out. The mainstream media is not going to tell you what's happening. And you know, that's kind of silly because when it all goes and they realize that they've contributed to it and want to undo it, they're going to suddenly find that the First Amendment doesn't work anymore. And that would really be bad. As bad as it is with their hostile mainstream media, it's better than no media.
Well, at least people like us have a chance to get up and say what is true. Well, like you said, Judge, it's later than it's ever been.
So something has got to be done.
Last month, President Clinton threatened to veto the Foreign Relations Revitalization Act. You know why? Because the legislation restored a long-standing prohibition against interference in the Second Amendment rights of Americans by the Arms Control and Disarmament Agency of the UN, whose mandate since 1963 limited its activities to foreign affairs, did not include U.S. domestic policy.
Well, friends, I'll tell you what, the fight is on.
It's a big fight, and you need to get in it, and I hope you do.
Stay with us. Now, Catherine, you need one of these Allison speed brushes here to clean your revolver with. You know, all you have to do, you have 6 little brushes on the handle here, and you just insert it into your cylinder, push in as far as you can, and pull it out, and guess what? Your cylinder is clean. When you're out there shooting between rounds on the range, this is something that even if you're out just plinking, you may go through a box of shells in an afternoon, and your cylinder may get kind of gummed up there, and then if you really want to clean it completely, you have the speed mop here. It works the same way. All 6 of the mops go in the chamber. And isn't that neat? Guns clean. Now, friends, for information on the Allison Tool Company Pathfinder, that's a retractable scope-mounted ballistics chart, and also on the Allison Speed Brush and Speed Mop. Now, none of us need to be without these things. Give them a call at area 303-355-5356. Again, area 303-355-5356 for the Allison Speed Brush, the Speed Mop, and also the Pathfinder, the retractable scope-mounted ballistics chart. Now, friends, what do Jim Clark Sr., K. Clark Michalik, Jerry Michalik, and Jim Clark Jr. have in common? You can find them all at Clark Custom Guns in Princeton, Louisiana, one of the finest custom gun shops in the entire country. They offer all sorts of custom packages on 1911s and other semi-automatics, from race guns to custom carry guns. They also offer a number of different custom packages for the Ruger 1022, and also have some very economically priced new 1022s in stock. Clark Custom Guns also has a good stock of Ruger Security 6s in blue and stainless at good prices. Clark Custom Guns offers some of the best revolver packages available anywhere, including action jobs on your Smith & Wesson or some other fine revolvers. In addition to custom work, they also have a completely stocked gun shop, anything from bullets to powder to accessories that you might want. Clark Custom Guns offers some shooting classes. You need to call for availability. Friends, it's certainly good for the shooting show, but good for yourselves when you call and get a Clark Custom Guns catalog. They have all sorts of things listed about their products and services and excellent prices. Give them a call. Area 318-949-9884. Again, 318-949-9884. Clark Custom Guns, the complete custom gun shop. Give them a call today. Tell them you saw it on the shooting show.